Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. Well, hello, everybody.
Well, hello, everybody, indeed, and welcome to another episode of Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. I am your host and sole guest today, Danny Mac. That is right. I know you listen to this podcast and it's terrible, and you think to yourself, well, this is awful, but at least I can hear some close friends bantering and riffing off of each other. Well, guess what? I have even removed that element from the podcast. That's right. You've got just me for a powerful hour, a power hour, some might say, who are experienced at all in media or training on the radio. But I don't even know if I'm going to make it an hour. Let's try to go for 4 minutes and see how we do after that. I hope you're all having a lovely day. This drops Thursday, as always, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, the day before. Geez, I'm speaking to you from the past right now. What's going on in the past? Well, we don't know if Trump and Eli are going to be pals anymore. I think Los Angeles is on fire again. What else do we got? King of the Hill for Fortnite got leaked. Saw a picture of Hank Hill's ass. He has a narrow urethra, boy, I tell you what. So that's something to look forward to if you are both an elder millennial and a Fortnite enthusiast. It's a pretty small Venn diagram, but I'm definitely smack dab in the middle of it. I'm excited for King of the Hill to come to Fortnite. You may not even understand what I'm talking about right now, and if that's the case, sorry, Mom, I told you not to listen to this podcast anyway. How's everyone doing? Oh, right. I can't hear you. This is just kind of a one-way thing. Okay, that's fine. I just came back from... Excuse me. I just came back from taping an audition, and I don't want to jinx it, but let's just say it's not some of my worst work. I think I'm probably going to be booking it. Oh, and by the way... I'm about to crack my first Diet Coke. I thought I'd save the crack for you folks. I hope you're cracking a DC as well. Here we go. I know that Pepsi cured racism in that commercial years ago, but this Diet Coke is about to cure what could possibly be the worst podcast in the history of podcasts. Gonna take my first sip here. Oh, I like that. Now, the one bad thing about solo podcasting is also the good thing about solo podcasting, and that is that I don't have anyone to blame for how bad the show is. I don't have Matthew Graham here to scream at him. I don't have Johnny here to say peculiar things that even Australians don't say, like gasso. Okay, Aussies, I know you don't call gasoline gasol. A petrol station, sure, I can live with that. But gasso? Give me a break, man. I don't buy it, not for 1 second. What are we talking about today? Well, I asked you guys to give me some options, some AMA questions. That stands for Ask Me Anything. I will put anything you want in my ass. Instead, you guys asked me questions, and that's fine as well. I'm going to give you some options to talk about here. Well, you gave me some options to talk about. First, what's going on in my world? I know you guys are obsessed with my world. Dodgeball. Had a big doubleheader for my Rec League adult dodgeball tournament game style competition that we do every week. Yesterday, we had 2 games back to back, and we won them both. And I like to think that that's going to inspire the Edmonton Oilers to do a little bit better. I dedicated my wins to Conor McGregor and the fellas. So root for the home team. I'm actually going to be back in my hometown of Edmonton this weekend. So possibly by the time you're listening to this, I will be cooking in that hot prairie sun and stealing allowance money from my niece and nephew to buy Fortnite skins. That's what I'm into, folks. Second Fortnite reference of the pod already, and we're only 4 minutes in. What are we going to chat about? I can get to your questions in a little bit here, but I have a couple general questions that people always ask me about the podcast that I figure I would just answer right away so I can ignore those ones later. People kind of ask me, like, are you ever going to tape these things? Tape. God, I'm a fucking 100 years old. You're ever going to record these things? Maybe, probably. I mean, this whole thing started with me saying I'm going to do it for a year, see if I like it, see if anyone else likes it. And by the way, the answer to the latter is certainly no. The answer to the former is up for debate. But I don't know if it makes sense. I absolutely would film them one day. I filmed a little part of this, the opening part of the podcast anyway, so maybe Summer can whip up a little something with that, I'll tell you what. Maybe I'll just do the whole podcast in Hank Hill voice. Would you like that, folks? Please let me know retroactively if you do, because I have no one to talk to. God damn it, I am so alone. So very, very alone.
You are one pathetic loser.
Just kidding, I've got my drops. Of course, you heard Kevin G right out of the bat.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it.
Whoa, hello, everybody. He's an angel. He's an earth angel. So yeah, for the future of the pod, yeah, we might film it. A Patreon. I do have a Patreon going right now. It doesn't offer anything, but I would like it to offer something sooner than later. If you don't know what Patreon is, basically it's this website where you can give creators, artists, pretty much anyone a couple bucks a month, and then you get extra stuff for whatever they do. So in my case, it's a podcast. Some podcasts give you early access to episodes. Some give you extra episodes. Some give you, I don't know, like one-on-one time with the hosts. I have to beg you guys to listen as it is, so I feel like absolutely no one wants any more time with me than they already are subjected to. I think what I'm going to do is, I know you guys listen, sometimes these episodes are over an hour. I think I might just cut off the pod at the hour mark, and if you're a Patreon subscriber, then you just get however much longer the podcast is. So sometimes it's like 5 minutes longer, sometimes it's 20 minutes longer, sometimes it's an hour longer. I know the one I did with Chris Waz and Matt Graham was like a 2.5 hour episode that I edited down, which I can't believe that I used to even try to edit this thing. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Wow, you put an effort in? That was you editing earlier on? Sheesh, man, kill yourself.
You are one pathetic
All right, you guys wouldn't tell me to kill myself, would you? Would you?
loser.
So yeah, I don't know, filming them and maybe Patreon, maybe that could be an extra perk. Maybe we'll start filming them, see how they look. We can throw those on Patreon and any Patreon subscriber. There's always a link in every podcast that I do. If you just like open the show notes or whatever, there's a link to the Patreon. If you want to support it, that's cool. Again, it doesn't offer anything yet, but the plan is to, in the maybe near future, start doing extra long episodes, and after the hour mark, if you're a Patreon supporter, you can listen to those. That assumes I'm going to keep doing this fucking thing, which it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to do. Like I said, I just got back from taping an audition, and it occurred to me that what actors constantly talk about when they're together is it busy for you right now? That's kind of the question every actor asks every other actor. Is it busy for you right now? It has been so slow lately is another thing that actors like to say and talk about. And it occurs to me that no one ever says that it is busy for auditioning for film and television in the moment when it's busy. It is only looking back in retrospect that we seem to know that we were in the good times. I'm trying not to quote Andy from The Office here. If you know what I'm talking about, you're also a TV comedy loser like me. But all actors really talk about is like, the best they'll give you is like, yeah, it's okay, I've had a few lately. Or they'll be like, God, it is so slow, which is more often what they say, right? Now at the start, well, I should say the end of years, you know, every actor kind of like panicky, talks to their agent and their coaches and their other acting friends, and everyone sort of assures each other the same thing. They always say at the end of every year, next year's going to be really busy. Next year is going to be really busy. No one's ever like, next year's going to be dog shit. So you're either hearing right now it's slow or next year is going to be busy. And never in the moment it is busy. And it just makes me wonder, like, was there ever a universally really, really busy season for film and TV that people were like, it's insane right now? I'm just asking this into the ether. I should probably have Chris Waz on to ask questions like that. Just something to think about. All I'm giving you is nuggets right now. Because around this point, again, Matt Graham would probably chime in with something asinine, and then I would just scream at him and say, shut up! Be quiet! which I can still scream on the pod. I'll still scream. I know you guys have become accustomed to hearing me rage out on occasion, and I will still, on occasion. Oh, you hear me rage out on occasion, I tell you what. Damn it, I snuck some Hank Hill back in that again. This free association is working for you guys, I hope, because it's kind of the only way that I think I can keep this pod going for an hour. Is just open up my brain and let it flow. Kind of the opposite of a wall facer. Oh, speaking of which, wall facers, I started reading the 3 Body Problem trilogy, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I'm like halfway through the 2nd book right now. No spoilers, don't worry, for this very old book that many people have read and saw the show on Netflix. But it got sold to me as this sort of action-packed sci-fi humans versus aliens thing by my friend Samson. And then I read the whole first book, and I would just say, if that's what you want and that's what you need, maybe these books aren't for you. They are a lot more slow and methodical, and when it eventually does get to a point like that, you have certainly earned it. It takes a bit of time, but nevertheless, they are good books. Yes, I know I'm certainly not the first one to say that worldwide beloved acclaimed series, The 3 Body Problem, are good books. This is the podcast you come to, folks, for really cutting edge reviews on things that are universally beloved. I'm not going to talk about King of the Hill anymore, but I will continually do voices throughout the pod, so that's something to look forward to. Dad, that's my purse. I don't know you. I can't really do a Bobby, but I'm throwing it out there. Before I get into the AMA stuff, another thing that just like people generally ask me all the time, and I ask people all the time, is what shows are you watching right now? What shows are good? What are you liking right now? There's a couple things I think I talked about. I'm finally late to the party on Andor, but I'm almost done the 2nd season. I'm really liking Andor. But a show that I love that I don't really hear a lot of people talk about is Hacks. I don't know if you guys know Hacks. It's on HBO. Or Max? Or is it back to HBO again? Man, what a fucking nightmare that was. Imagine having a company called HBO, which is associated with the best television in history. Whether it's Sopranos or Curb Your Enthusiasm or Game of Thrones or The Wire, you just have this company. And when you hear HBO, you think, oh, that's premium TV. And then imagine sitting down at a meeting and saying, hey, why don't we change that to, I don't know, the name of a dog that we didn't really like? Let's just call it Max. Let's just go with that, dropping the HBO. And now I think it's back to HBO again, which, thank God, I got to give them credit. I think more companies, when they do dumb shit, should just own up to it and go back and just get a big bit of egg on their face and realize it's not the biggest deal in the world if we looked stupid for a little bit. I don't know. I still don't like calling like Facebook Meta. I think the whole company should have just been called Facebook. But hey, what do I know? I'm not in the metaverse with Zuck, which he said we should all be in right now. Shouldn't we all be floating around in the metaverse? Man, those videos a few years ago is Zuck telling us how cool that would be. And it's just his like floating disfigured body out there looking like a day one Nintendo Wii Memoji or whatever the hell. Anyway, so Hacks is really good. Hacks is on HBO. It's kind of about this comedian. She gets like mini canceled, and the only job she can get, her agent allows her to write for the stand-up comedian who is played by Jean Smart. And Jean Smart kind of plays like a Joan Rivers type. I don't want to call her washed up or a hack, but like she's been doing the same routine in Vegas for a while. She's got like a clothing line on QVC. She's insanely rich and just a bit too comfortable. And then this sort of like young millennial or old Gen Z and Gene Smart, they sort of are forced to pair up and try writing new comedy together. And, you know, it's a lot of like, I think the bad version of this is like, you know, like, hey, you can't make jokes like that anymore. You have to be woke. And then the old person goes, oh, your generation, you're such pussies now. It's like the best version of that you can think of, because you're constantly finding yourself agreeing with both parties about like what's acceptable, what's funny, where the line is. And it's not preachy. It is just generally a very funny show. I don't know if you guys watched Broad City, but one of the dudes from Broad City is in it, and he's also hilarious. So yeah, Hacks. I don't really hear people talk about it, but Hacks is great, and I think there's 3 or 4 complete seasons on Max. on Max right now. If you don't name it back to HBO, if I just made that up, I'm coming for you, Max. Boom! My boom was weak as hell there. Hold on. Boom! Yeah, that's a lot better. Boy, I really need my friends here to fire me up and get me angry. It's just a very clutch part of the show. Speaking of stuff on formerly known as Max, now back to good old-fashioned HBO. I watched Mountainhead. If you guys don't know Mountainhead, it's the dude who made Succession, which is a HBO show. You're all aware of Succession. It won all the things. It's why Kieran is the most famous Culkin now. Didn't see that one coming. Mountainhead is like a movie. It's not like a movie. It is a movie that's on HBO. It's made by the Succession guy. And it's about like if like, I don't know, just imagine if like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and who's another billionaire? I don't know, another one. Just imagine if like four of the richest, most powerful men on the planet have this thing where they go to like a ski lodge once a year and they hang out and they fuck around. So it takes place over a weekend. These four really rich guys. Steve Carell is one of them. We love Steve Carell, don't we, folks? The Office. My terrible Trump. Yeah, and they get together and they kind of, they pick on the one dude who, Jason Schwartzman is like the poorest one of them. He only has like $600 million. So they call him Super, as in soup kitchen, because to them, he's fucking poor. And he's trying to get them to invest in his like wellness app or whatever, just so he can finally crack $1 billion. So that's pretty funny. But just imagine if like, these guys got together. One of them owned like a Twitter or an X, and they released a new AI that allows you to make crazy, undetectably real deep fakes. And then instantly the world like runs amok. Like there's just videos online of like people desecrating religious and holy sites. And then that causes real riots and real murders in several countries. And these guys are just like, should we like step in and like take over these countries and like maybe take over the world? And it's absurd. It's very dark comedy. A lot of people are kind of split on it. It's getting like generally good reviews, but I think audiences are saying like every character in it is such a piece of shit. Like, why do I want to spend time with them? And then the argument to that is, well, like, did you never see Succession? But the thing with Succession is it's a show. You have so much time to spend with these characters and understand who they are and what makes them tick. And, maybe they're not all that awful actually anyway, they have demons and I kind of see where they're coming from, and they've got their addictions and they all have their sweet moments. But in like a 90-minute movie, you don't really have time to dig too deep into characters' backstories and see what makes them tick necessarily. It's more we're watching a moment in time as opposed to a character study. Even though this does kind of feel a little bit like a character study, but it does feel like a snapshot of, wow, just a couple people, if they got together, and I mean literally like a small handful of people, it seems plausible that they could just combine their powers and take over the world. However, their ineptitude shines through. They are preposterous and ridiculous and cruel. And so, I don't know, I think it's worth watching, but it is certainly like a dark comedy, and those aren't for everybody, but give it a shot. I mean, if you already have HBO or Max, if you have that, then give it a shot in between episodes of Hacks. Throw that in there. Mountainhead. And Corey Michael Smith is really good in it. I've seen him in some other stuff, but yeah, he's like, I think he's kind of like, if you could combine like Elon and Zuck, he's sort of like that. He's the one who like unleashes his AI in the world. He even like looks like he's AI in it. He looks like a beautiful porcelain man. Gorgeous, just gorgeous. Solo Pod, how's it going so far, guys? You still with me? If the answer is no, well then fuck you. Not sure why I queued up a laugh there, or why I yelled at someone who wouldn't even be here to hear me yell at them, but I do have a new joke for you. Shut up! I didn't tell the joke yet. Shut your fucking mouth. Okay, here's the joke. How do you kickstart a liar's heart? How do you kickstart a liar's heart? Well, you use a defibrillator. Fib. Okay. So that's the joke. for today. All right, before we get into these Ask Me Anything questions, one more kind of dumb actory thing. I think this is something actors ask each other a lot too. How do you learn your lines? I know a lot of actor friends of mine, they have this weird way of learning lines that I didn't know was like a method. It's something that I tried forever ago, just on my own. And I thought it was just a little preposterous, so I stopped doing it. But basically what a lot of actors do is they take the first letter of the first word of every sentence that they're supposed to say, and they memorize that. So, if your dialogue is like, only time can tell, period, we'll have to wait and see, period, then you'd write like an O, period, then a W, period. And all you have to do is kind of remember, oh, my sentence starts with O, so it's probably the only time will tell, and then they just have these notes, and it's like a piece of paper with just a ton of letters and dots on it. I mean, I could imagine that technique being useful if you have to learn like a phone book worth of dialogue, or if you're not particularly great with dialogue and that works for you, go for it. And like I said, I did kind of do a version of that once when I was in class, and I had just the chunkiest opening. It was like 2.5 pages just to open this scene up. And that was the first time I'd been in that class too. I was nervous, and I recognized other actors in the class from like shows that I watch, and they had just like never seen me before. And I was like first up, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't just rattle off 2.5 pages for all these like people who they have all the jobs that I want. That was a long time ago when I was 4 years old. But now what I do is obviously you read your sides, you read the script, you get as much material as you can. You can always ask for the full script. They'll say no most of the time, but they're used to you asking. So just ask. You'll get it sometimes. Like the audition I did today, I've read the full script and I understand so much more about every character in the scene because of that. And then that just helps you understand tone. So, but that's kind of obvious stuff, that. But for learning lines, my mom is a school teacher. She told me forever ago that she thinks gum should be allowed in school and she told me this in like the 90s. She's like, studies show that you learn more quickly and you retain more information when you're chewing gum. And I was like, there's no way that's a thing. Anyway, years later, I kept hearing other people say that. And I still don't know if it's true, and I don't really care to Google it because it's like, having a lucky shirt. Like, don't overthink it. If you think you're going to have good luck when you wear a certain pair of underwear, perhaps orange and blue colored underwear, perhaps when your favorite hockey team is in the playoffs and they lose anyway. Ooh, that was a rough Oilers game the other night. Okay, anyway, I digress. Chewing gum. Yeah, so I chew gum. I record, and then like other actors, this is nothing new. You can see DiCaprio do this in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's floating in his pool and he's drunk and he's drinking. What did he complain about drinking? Whiskey sours. Goddamn 7 whiskey sours. Pull it together. And he's floating on his pool and he's doing his lines to a recording of the other lines in the dialogue. And that's what I always did. And I had that moment of like the meme from that movie where DiCaprio's like, hey, hey, and he points at the screen, and he was doing that. I'm like, hey, that's what I do to learn my lines. But I go on a treadmill, which is what an acting coach named Andrew McElroy told me, and he practices what he preaches. Like, I see that guy at the gym on the treadmill constantly flipping through massive scripts. So I know he does most of his work while he's moving, and there's something about that too. So I go on the treadmill. I don't run. I just walk swiftly uphill with my big daddy long legs, and I chew gum, and I listen to my AirPods. Apple, feel free to send me a pair for mentioning you on the pod. And I just speak in between recordings of the other characters' dialogue, which I record myself. So that's how I learn lines. And I have been told by people that I learn my lines quickly and I get them fairly word perfect. And that probably stems from a fear of forgetting my lines, which I've done on occasion. I did that on stage. I talked about that when Cooper and Lena were on the podcast, when Cooper and I were in a play at the Fringe Festival in Edmonton for a play that he and his friends wrote. I forgot one of my lines and skipped like a page and a half of dialogue. It was the fucking worst, man. Ooh, it was uncomfortable. So I think maybe I go a little hard in the paint, as they say in the National Basketball Association, when it comes to learning lines. And I also think I've noticed one thing, when I'm in class and I'm watching other actors act, sometimes you're on book for them, so you hold their sides. And I always like to see who's like 100% on book and who's not. And to me, it doesn't really matter. I think you should say the lines that sound most naturally coming out of your mouth. I know that that's generally not the way you should do it when it comes to theater. You kind of got to stick to it word perfect, which I understand. But I think the more you start cutting out words here and there and replacing them with your own thing, and it's not 100% what the script is, you start making little mistakes everywhere else. And if you didn't need to get that one chunk right, you don't need to get the next chunk right. And then by the end of a few performances, you're only at like 90% of the writer's intended dialogue. Is anyone bored yet? Is anyone just like, who gives a shit? Anyway, so gum, treadmill, and then repeating lines, leaving spaces in between. That's how you get it done, my friend. That's how you do it. What other drops do we have for you today? I think I pretty much played them all.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, so that's great. Those are already completely used up. I was going to play some games today, but then I realized I don't have any games to play solo. Like, what am I going to try to guess how Roger Ebert rated Tommy Boy and then just Google it? I could see how Roger Ebert rated. Okay, sure, let's try that. I'm going to say Ebert, terrible with comedy. I'm going to say Roger Ebert gave Tommy Boy 1.5 stars out of 4 because he thinks Chris Farley is a real talent. Roger Ebert, Tommy Boy review. Okay, let's see if I was right. I said 1.5 stars. He gave it 1 star. Ouch, Raj. That's just mean, man. You eat a lot of paint chips as a child, Raj? Come on, bro. Yeah. What does he say? It's an endearing buddy movie with plenty of genuine laughs and heart. It was well-paced, and most importantly, it gave Farley an opportunity to show off. Well, that doesn't sound like a 1-star review. What does he say right away? Tommy Boy is one of those movies that plays like an explosion down at the screenplay factory. You can almost picture a bewildered office boy, his face smudged with soot, wandering around the ruins and rescuing pages at random. Too bad they didn't mail them to the insurance company instead of filming them. Ouch! It's like, what does he say? Whatever. Raj, come on, lighten up, pal. I mean, I know you're dead, but lighten up. It's time for a DC sip. You ready for this? No, that's good to Coke. Not that kind of Coke. Keep your heads out of the gutter, all you Charlie Sheens out there. All right. Well, let's check out these AMAs, the Ask Me Anythings. You guys asked me some motherfucking questions, and I'm going to give you some motherfucking answers over here. All right, let's see what we got. I got to tell you, I'm sore from dodgeball, kids. I was giving it. Oh, I was hucking balls like crazy yesterday. It was hot in those gymnasiums. Ooh-wee, I tell you what, it was steamy. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Where's these questions? Gonna fire them up right now. Now, I will say a lot of these are immature questions about the size of my private parts. I can't really be upset because I've cultivated a pretty immature audience for this thing. And you reap what you sow. So here I am. First question, what's the girth on it? See, right off the bat, straight out of the gate, this is what I have to deal with. What's the girth on it? You're going to have to find that out for yourself. And I'm going to tell you what Scarlett Johansson said in Vicky Cristina Barcelona. I'll go to bed with you, but you're going to have to seduce me. So if you want that girth info, bro, you're going to have to seduce me. Let's see here. When did you first know you wanted to take acting seriously? I don't know if I actually have an answer for that question. Seriously, I would say it was like everything. I was like, I felt like I kind of woke up one day when I was, I don't know, maybe 19, 20. And I was like, I want to write movies and make them and be in them. And that kind of never changed. So I don't exactly know what the moment was, but my friend Cam Matheson, I would always say like, God, we're such losers. You know, all we do is just drink and
You are one pathetic loser.
and screw around and play Guitar Hero. And like, I truly like, I look back at how I lived in my early 20s and it was like truly like the workaholics. Like, you know, we like barely kept our jobs serving tables just so we could like, you know, goof off and go party and spend all our money. And like I was saving up to buy Rock Band. Like that was my lofty goal. But at one point, I think I started saying to my friend Cam, like, let's just be in a movie. Like, how hard could it be? Let's just be in a movie. And he was like, why don't you do that? And then I kind of realized, oh yeah, that sort of is my thing, you know, because I'd always been in drama growing up and, you know, doing plays and, you know, goofing off. Like, you know, what's crazy? YouTube has been around so long that in like 2009, I think I want to say, maybe even around then, before then, me and my friends were like, should we like make YouTube videos? And we were thinking in 2009, we were like, nah, everyone's doing that. Like, that's kind of why I started the podcast. That's a question for later. But like, if there's something you want to do, you know, but you don't want to do it because you feel like it's already been done or so many other people are doing it, I promise you're probably still going to want to do that thing like 10 fucking years later. So you might as well just get on it now. Get on it while the going's good, while the going is hot to trot. Maybe I'll freestyle for you guys later now that Matt's not here to fucking... Ain't nobody gonna stop my shine. How's that song go? Ain't nobody gonna kill my vibe. Ain't nobody gonna hold me down. Whoa, I got to keep on moving. When did you know you want to take acting seriously? Oh, I just read that one. That's a good question. You know what? I kind of wanted to springboard off of that and talk about something that I hear so many industry people in the film industry, when they get interviewed, they're always asked a question and they answer it the same way. The question is always, what would you do now if you were starting out today? Or a variation of that is, what would you tell people starting out today? And these industry people always say the same thing. They say, it's never been easier to go make something. Everyone has a camera right there in their pocket. Go out and make something. It's never been easier. And I just kind of want to call a little bit of bullshit on that. They aren't wrong, but it's a very like easy for you to say type thing because you're already being interviewed and people are sharing the clip online and feeling empowered to go grab their iPhone and their friends and make the next, you know, Tangerine or like a Sean Baker type thing. But here's the thing. It is not easy to get people to see the thing that was easy to make. And also, like, the first time I made a movie, like, we would never think to film it on our phones. Like, we were filming, like, YouTube videos on our phones. We're like, we want a movie to look like a movie. And now you can shoot stuff on your iPhone. You're going to need some, you know, additional equipment. You can't just really, like, point and shoot. It's a straight-up iPhone. So just so you guys know, by the way, anytime you see an advertisement saying, like, this movie was shot on an iPhone, it was shot on an iPhone plus, like, $200,000 worth of, like, equipment minimum. And that doesn't count the sound and all the post and everything like that. But yeah, they sort of make it sound like it's so easy. Just go film something. But now more than ever, it is impossible to get people to take a look at what you've made. So yes, the actual filming is easier. And by the way, it wasn't impossible to like get a hold of a camera back then. Like there were digital cameras before everyone had a 4K iPhone in their pocket, I promise you. But I don't know. I feel you content creators today. I know that you also must hear responses like that and think like, oh yeah, sounds really easy. It's not that easy, you know? So I don't know. Directors who've been working for like 40 years, they seem to think like all you do is like get some friends together and write a script over a weekend and put something on YouTube. And then all of a sudden your career is set for you. Like that's not how it works. No one will return your phone calls if you're like, I made a thing and put it online. Like still the routes are traditionally still very much the same. It is just easier to point a lens at something and then pop it in, I don't know, iMovie afterwards. That's the easy stuff. But you know what? A lot of those quote unquote movies, they look like they were shot quickly on an iPhone and then thrown into iMovie afterwards. So anyway, a bit of a tangent there, but I just want to say I think that that's personally kind of like a bullshit answer. Just go do it. It's never been easier. It's in your pocket. What was your first time on set like? My first time on set, I was producing and starring in a feature that I wrote with Cooper. It's crazy. I was never in a commercial before then. I'd done a few short films with my buddies, but it was like we were the ones doing it. Those weren't things that I auditioned for. Those weren't, those were just like little weekend projects, and friends were like, I'm going to submit them to festivals, and then you'd kind of never hear about them again. So my first time on set really does feel like when I made a feature and kind of put my life savings into it. And that was crazy, but I was deliriously tired and exhausted. That was the most draining experience of my entire life. I was overworking myself to a ridiculous degree, and I still had to work my full-time job to be able to pay to shoot the film on the weekends. It was just absolutely nuts. But there was just immense pressure because all my money was on the line, but I was incredibly excited, and I was so naive, and I was positive it was going to work, and it did work out. That's the insane thing. We were able to sell the movie and make our money back. But I was more excited than scared. I think now I'd be terrified because I just know better. I know how easily things can go wrong. I know that things will go wrong. Like nothing ever just goes smoothly. Like there's a problem on set constantly. So yeah, that was just like a really bizarre, quote unquote, first time on set for me. The first time I was like on a set that kind of like wasn't mine. I'm not sure exactly what the first one was. I'm sure there was a bunch of commercials, but I've told this story before, but I wasn't on it, but I was on Wayward Pines, the Fox show, and I got to work with M. Night Shyamalan, and my scene got cut, and you can listen to earlier pods about that, but it was so cool. Like, first time someone shows you to your trailer and tells you, like, you can just go to the craft services table, and like, I was like, I can just eat all this candy? Like, literally, if you've never been on a film set, there is just candy, like honest to God candy and sandwiches and soda pops and chips. It just whenever you want them, there's like an endless supply of, and if you're like a poor young actor who's like never booked anything, your instinct is just to like, oh, I need to eat as much as possible. And that's not even like the lunch or breakfast that they serve you, which is often just excellent. I mean, the catering here in Vancouver is exquisite on these things. But yeah, I just remember feeling cool as hell. I was in my trailer. Someone said, we'll knock when we're ready for you. Someone had led me to my trailer. Someone told me where I could go just eat forever. And then when, quote unquote, they were ready for me, I got to dress up like a fireman, which felt cool, and go talk to M. Night Shyamalan about how he wanted the scene to go down. And I've loved that guy forever. So yeah, that was kind of my first. I kind of like to think of that as sort of my first time on set. That was just a lot of firsts for me. It was very cool. And the non-union commercials I'd done before then, there's cool and you get set experience, but there's certainly no trailers. But there is the candy table, I'll tell you that. Lena has a question for me. Hey, Lena. Favorite role / project versus least favorite role / project you've worked on. Don't know if I want to burn myself here. Favorite role. That's a good one. I don't know. I hate to keep saying heel kick, but like that movie was just so like an itch I could not scratch. For those who don't know, I made a mockumentary, which I love mockumentaries like The Office or Spinal Tap or FUBAR, which is an excellent mockumentary I think everyone should watch that not very many people have seen. I love mockumentaries, so I made one about two backyard wrestlers that want to become pro wrestlers, like WWE, John Cena style. But they are just awful and have no idea how tough it'll be. And so that's the movie I made. And it's kind of about like not giving up. It's about how badly you can suffer if you procrastinate and just talk about your plans forever, which again, like I alluded to earlier, if you kind of just want to do something, you should do it because your craving for that thing, your interest in that thing is probably not going to go away anytime soon, and you're just going to wish you started earlier. So that was kind of one of my favorite roles because I worked on it for so long and I based it on people I knew. And then I was training to be a pro wrestler. So I had all this intel and experience, and, you know, it felt as close to quote unquote method as I could possibly get, in that I just had so much real life experience to draw from when we went to camera of what these people are like, or what I would actually be like in this scenario, that it was so easy to get into character. And I still think I did some of my best work on that one. Least favorite, I did a commercial for let's call it a moving company. And the director was stressed and very rude, but for some reason, he was really like impressed by one of the other guys who was on the commercial with us. And there's a few like local dudes who got on the commercial, and we all sort of know each other. We see each other at the audition. And I don't know what this other guy was in, that this director was just like on his knees for him, but he was like apologizing to him for there being delays. And I'm like, did this guy win an Oscar that I'm not aware of or something? Like, who is this guy? Does he have a Nobel Prize or something? And then to the rest of us was not very kind. And to me in particular, there was no aid. Some major role wasn't there on set that day. It was either like there was no second AD or something like that. But there was no one to sort of like liaison you between, you know, letting you know when they're going to be ready for you or not. So you kind of just sat around and you never knew if like, there was no one coming up to you to say, your scene is up next, so just be ready. Like that position didn't exist. So at one point, the director was just like, where the hell is he? And I didn't know who he was talking about. He was talking about me. I was just like behind him, sitting on this like child's chair in the basement that we were filming in of some actual person's house. And I'm like, me, do you mean? I'm right here. And he's like, yeah, let's go. And like basically sort of snapped his fingers. And then meanwhile, he's fucking like rubbing the shoulders of this other dude who I go to auditions with all the time. I'm like, I must have missed something here. But anyway, it wasn't even like a bad role or a bad... It's just the director was a dick, and you don't like when that happens, right? But yeah, I understand when directors are stressed out sometimes. Like I just did a movie for A24. Oh, I didn't just do it, but A24 is releasing it. It's called Eternity. I shot it last year, and it's coming out later this year, I think. But David Frayne is the director. He made a really good movie called Dating Amber. You guys should watch Dating Amber. It's incredibly sweet. It's basically about this small village in Ireland, this small town in Ireland, and it's about like the only gay kid in school and the only gay girl in school. They decide to date so no one will know that they're gay, basically. It's just so sweet. But he directed this movie that I have a little part in. I'm very proud to be part of it. And it was like the classic. There was like dogs, old actors who've been around a long time, kids everywhere. It was like a big family reunion type scene, and he just handled it with such grace. But he was getting asked a billion questions all at once, and everyone had their own, you know, specific way that they wanted to do the scene. And I just kind of like watched him really navigate that expertly. And he's, you know, a young dude and, you know, like millennial filmmaker, even though millennials are 75 years old now. So I got to stop thinking of us as anything but middle-aged people. But anyway, he what's the expression? He threaded the needle nicely on that one. I don't think that's the expression. I don't think that got my point across at all. I'm going to shut my fucking mouth. Opinions on Ozempic. Well, yes, you've come to the right place. Dr. Danny here has opinions on Ozempic. I kind of do and don't, actually. GHL, GLH inhibitors. Yeah, now you really know I'm not the guy to ask about this. But hey, obesity is a literal epidemic in the States, and this sounds like it's making people less obese. So go off. You know, I know a lot of people are like, you didn't earn your weight loss. And it's like, so what? You know, like, if this is gonna make it so you can quote unquote walk your daughter down the aisle, then fucking like go for it. Like, hasn't the world been like literally waiting for a magic cure for weight loss forever? And yes, it takes away muscle mass as well. So I don't know. You're not going to hear anything from me. You haven't heard from experts. Just make sure you're getting way more protein and you're lifting weights if you're on Ozempic, because I don't know. There's already people saying that people have got Ozempic body or whatever. And I don't know. Hey, Body shamers going to body shame. Not me. I think everyone is beautiful, no matter who they are or what they look like, excluding Matthew Graham, of course. He's just lumpy and frumpy and a real bag of doorknobs. But yeah, it is funny that you asked because I hate to tell people to check out a fitness guy on YouTube, but I'm going to tell you to check out a fitness guy on YouTube. There's a dude named Dr. Mike Israetel, and he's got a YouTube page called Renaissance Periodization, I think, which is the all-time worst name to name a YouTube channel if you want people to be able to remember it and follow it. But he recently did a little video about whatever the things that are in trials right now that are going to be the next level of Ozempic. And this guy's kind of knows his shit. I mean, from what I know, he's certainly more educated than I am. But he says that if you're thinking of taking Ozempic now, just wait, because in a few years, they're going to be ones that work way better. They get rid of fat way quicker, and not only do they not reduce muscle mass, they can help build muscle mass at the same time. And you know, he's not very hyperbolic, but he's saying like you'll be able to pretty soon get like sick, insane movie star body, look however you want pretty quickly. So he's like, don't even do Ozempic, like just wait a couple years, and then these ones, they're going through trials and they're probably going to come through. So I don't know, look up what Dr. Mike Israetel says about that. And you know what? Actually, fuck that. Just take my advice on all medical procedures from now on. Summer Lila asks, does it fart? Not quite sure how to answer that on occasion, but you won't hear it coming from me. I'll tell you that much. My butthole's impeccably clean, and no air escapes it. I just secrete goodness out of my pores. Worst experience on set versus your best? I feel like I kind of answered that one already. Worst comedy style. I think even though I made a dad joke earlier, dad jokes kind of bug me. And it's not because I don't think that they can be clever, but it's because you are just hearing them online or Googling them and then repeating them. And so it's more just like telling anecdotes, or it's, you know, you might as well just like repeat quotes from movies constantly, because your dad jokes, they've all been figured out basically at this point, except for mine, of course, which are wholly original. Summer also asks, how big is it? And I'm going to tell you the same thing. Once again, I'll take you to bed, but you've got to seduce me first. Matt Graham asks, why is your butt so big? Maybe because you get half quads with half squats, and I go all the way down. I'm talking ass to heels, baby. Yeah, so that peach is plump. Why is your ass so small? You got a Hank Hill butt, I tell you what. It's true, I have a narrow urethra. Oh, God dang it. That's all deep cut King of the Hill stuff for you there. Hank has a narrow urethra. And he's got a flat ass on him. A flat ass, folks. We don't like a flat ass, do we? No, we like a plump, juicy butt to grab. Damn, you know, I didn't want to have too many Trump drops on the pod, like ever, just as like a rule. But god damn it, when Trump is talking about the fat shot, he's trying to talk about a friend of his who uses Ozempic. And he's just calling them fat. And he's like, my friend called me and he said, Mr. President, I'm taking the fat shot. And I said, it's not working. And anyway, this has been covered by so many people before. Now I'm being a hack. It's time for a DC sip, maybe even a DC chug. Hold up here, folks. Oh, good God. That was so nice. I'm doing it twice. Here we go. Back in. Thank you kindly. I made the mistake last pod, or a few pods ago, of mentioning the terrible Instagram group chat that I'm in, where we share just awful videos with each other, and a few people were like offended that they weren't in this group chat. And I would like to reiterate that it is 80% clips of gay porn from the 90s. If that is something you're still interested in, ask me again. We can throw you in there. I am in love with some of these performers. And I got to tell you, there's this one guy, this one mustached guy. I know he's probably like 70 years old now or whatever. He's kind of good. He's charming. I mean, I don't know how he thrusts. It always cuts before the action. But, you know, he's so sweet and thoughtful, even when he's like, well, you seem like you've had a stressful day, so why don't you suck on this for a little while and we'll see if we can turn that frown upside down. Like, they're so kind to each other in these early 90s gay porn clips that me and my friends are obsessed with sharing with each other. Good thing no one listens to this podcast because, I mean, why would they? No. I'm loving it. Let's see here. Questions. Ask me anything. Can you help me read for an audition tomorrow or Thursday morning? I actually can't. Alexis, I love you, buddy. But I think by tomorrow you mean today, and Thursday you mean tomorrow. And I'm going to be not in the city. I'm going to be training out of the city and then getting ready to travel. So I don't think I can. But maybe I'll text you, buddy, and see if I could possibly help you out in some way. I'd love to help you if I could. Big shout out to Summer Lila, who does all the editing for the podcast. If you're watching or listening to any clip of this online right now and not just listening to the podcast in full, it means that she has probably edited that together. Has definitely edited that together. So you guys should go give her some support. She streams on TikTok. She's very funny and plays Fortnite and what is that other game she plays? I don't know, some nerd ass shit. But yeah, for simply, watching someone play video games, it is oddly amusing and really interactive. If you want to say, shoot that guy in the head, which is the great advice that I give to people. In closing, I think we've done a pretty good job here. I would like to give you guys a sneak peek for making it this far. Some upcoming guests we're going to have. Big Ron Partlow. Ron is an IFBB pro bodybuilder. You should check out his Instagram. He has great fitness tips on there. He's got a podcast called It's Just Bodybuilding. And, it's not as inaccessible or hardcore as it sounds, because anytime you kind of want to just change your body and look a little bit better, that's technically bodybuilding. So there's a ton of good tips in there from people who are literally some of the most elite bodybuilders on the planet, who have trained some of the most elite bodybuilders on the planet. And there's just great free nuggets of information. Plus, he's just like a funny, cool guy. So Big Ron is going to be on the podcast. He's been helping me train for a role in a movie where I have to be a little more aesthetically pleasing than I normally am, which is a Matt Graham level bag of doorknobs. Chris Waz is going to be back on the pod soon. He's been very busy. Casting director Chris Waz. He's got some really cool projects that he is casting for right now. And even I'm hearing rumors swirl around about some of the names involved in these things. So yeah, we're going to have him back. I think he said his casting directing partner, Kara Eddy, is too shy to come on the podcast. No, I think we'll convince her to come on one day. Maybe we'll get Chris to get Kara and James to come on. That would be really good. Do a quad pod with them. A showrunner of a very popular Netflix series right now has reached out and said that he wants to be on the podcast. So I'm going to have him on the podcast in the near future. I'm not going to say who, in case they ever listen to the podcast, realize how terrible it is, and then they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." I'm going to have the Smash sisters on, part of my Greasy family. Some of my friends who were in Rise of the Pink Ladies with me, they started a podcast, and I was on it I think a year or so ago, and I'm going to have them on to return the favor. And what else can I tell you? Some future drops I'm going to get. Folks, we've been waiting so long for this, and finally, the Pornhub jingle will be making its way to the Danny Mac's Awful Podcast drop list.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm loving it too, buddy. I'm loving it too, Kevin G. I would love you guys to let me know what you think of this episode. And there are a couple other things I want to ask of you guys too. No one's going to help me name this Roger Ebert rating game. I don't know how much more we're going to play. I don't know how much people like that one. Let me know if you guys like that one. Oddly enough, people have told me that they do like the Mind Reader game, which I think is excruciating to play, especially with my dumbass friends. God, come on. I was told, excuse me, Brent, who reached out to me and said, I was a fool for not knowing to say lightsaber when I was playing Mind Reader. Let me see his exact quote here. What did he say? He says, by the way, I don't hate the game, and I knew Summer was going to say lightsaber. 100% shocked you didn't know that. Okay, well, hindsight is 2020, pal. But I guess apparently some people do like Mind Reader. As excruciating as it is, maybe we'll keep playing it. Roger rate it. I personally like it, but if you guys fucking hate it, whatever. You probably hate this entire podcast anyway. So, and I'll bring some sound-alike challenges back. I'm always open to suggestions, so if you think there's a good sound-alike challenge, like something iconic from music or film, something weird sounding that you want us to try to duplicate, just DM me. I'm really easy to get a hold of on DMAPod. DMAPOD. I think that's what I'm on Instagram. Yeah, and that's what I'm on YouTube, DMA Pod. The only place it's different is TikTok. If you want to follow me there, that's DMA Podcast, I believe. But it's really easy to find. You'd see that picture of my dumb face with blood coming out of my ears. And we're going to keep playing First to Worst. I think that was pretty good. I'd love your suggestions for top fives that you want to see us tackle in the future. A couple top five suggestions coming up. Next time I've got both Dino and Natalie on. I really want to save it for them. We did top 5 asshole names for guys. So I really want to do top 5 bad girl names, smoking in the boys' room type. Kind of girl's going to get you in trouble. Mama don't approve. One of those things. Maybe top 5 dumb things you believed as an adult. Top 5 cringy things that you've done. That one just sounds like it's going to take... That could just be a full episode, personally. So those could be some future ones to look out for as well. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of this podcast, you guys. For getting this exclusive shit. And now we're almost at an hour. I did want to make it to a full hour. So maybe I should freestyle for you guys. What should I freestyle about? Okay, I've got a Time magazine. The Super Mario All-Star video game changer is on it. So... well, my name is Super Mario. I've decided I don't want to do this, actually. Sorry to bail on you. But maybe I'll have Samson on, and he'll beatbox for me. And Samson, he does like to freestyle every now and again. He and I have freestyled. Oh, we're also going to have James C. Clayton on the pod pretty soon here. Clayton, as I call him, colloquially, folks, that is a word that I've learned that I'm using correctly here. He produced Bulletproof that I was in, not the Adam Sandler one, the one with me and Vinnie Jones and Lena and Coop. And he produced the sequel to that, Get Fast. I have a story by credit on, and we're working on something right now. And yeah, he's a great dude, and he knows so much about the film industry. So we could do like a real like nerd out film industry type thing. This guy, this is like, I don't know how many years ago. So when did we all find out that like Bruce Willis was suffering from dementia? I feel like that was maybe 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. But anyway, several years before that became public, he had told me, he's like, well, you know about Bruce Willis, right? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, he has some form of dementia. And I was like, what? No, he doesn't. Like, I've never heard that. Like Bruce Willis is putting out a movie every 2 weeks. That's what I said. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's in a million movies. And he's like, well, yes, exactly. He's trying to get a nest egg going because he's going to have to retire soon because he has this neurological condition. And it would just be like if I told you that about whatever, Amy Adams right now. If I was like, hey, did you know Amy Adams doesn't have a right arm? It's actually a prosthetic. You'd be like, what? No. And then like next week, everyone was like, Amy Adams reveals her prosthetic arm. You just never noticed it or whatever. Like it was just, there was no way of knowing that before. And he was right. And then years later, it got announced that he was going to have to retire because he was having these sort of cognitive issues or whatever. So suffice to say that he kind of has his finger on the pulse and knows some things. So I'm curious to find out what the fuck is going on with other things that we're not, the general public, Gen Pop, if you serve time, what's going on out there in the film world. And maybe I'll even call my dear old friend, improv legend Jackie Hoffman. She's out in New York City doing a lot of theater, and she's in some great stuff. She was in the second Knives Out movie, and worked with Sandler very recently on something, so I want to hear about that. But yeah, she was the assistant principal on Grease: Rise of the Pink Ladies, and we chat every now and again. I hope she's doing well. She's certainly got better things to do than listen to this fucking shit. But I'm going to call her, do a call-in show one day. Maybe get Chris Wilcox on the horn, see what he thinks about a couple things. And folks, against all odds, I have talked for an hour straight, and everyone collectively rolled their eyes because I'm a big blabbermouth, and I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. Thanks for listening to Danny Mac's Awful Podcast. Consider subscribing on the Patreon, and feedback is great. Let me know what you would like. If you were to give me a couple bucks a month, what do you think would be worth it for this podcast? What kind of perks would you like? Suggestions for top fives are great. You can just comment on any video on Instagram or YouTube. I read everything. So, just send your thoughts and prayers there, folks. And with that...
Well, hello, everybody.
No, I should say, well, goodbye, everybody. Mwah, love you. And if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, happy Thursday. Okay, peace.